Shall we begin? Let's begin now. Let's begin now.
This is not a drill.
Repeat, this is not a drill.
Is that all you got?
Let's begin now.
What up? Oh, for sure.
Hi everyone, all 23 of you watching this. 23. I used to get more people watching me when I had about 900 subscribers. They've turned me off. They turned me off. When I had that letter from Julian Assange back in May, they turned me off. I had 18,800 subscribers when I had that letter from May and I went public with it. 9 months ago, whatever it is. I'm still on 18,800 subscribers. I was putting on 2,000 subscribers a month and it was getting more and more each month. And then they switched me off. And now I've got what? It's up to 29 now. 29 people watching. I used to get more people watching when I had like 1,500 subscribers and it was my first live feed 2 years ago. I get subscribers emailing me saying, Gordon, your stuff never shows up in my feed on YouTube. Never. Garland Nixon said the same thing to me the other day. I watch all your stuff. It never shows up in in my feed. They've switched me off. They've switched me off. And you know what, you motherfuckers? It's not going to stop me. You can switch me off all you fucking want. I am still going to tell people the truth as to what you are fucking doing in their name. We're up to 32 people watching now. Would you turn it up to fucking 1, did you? Hi everyone. Unbelievable. Honestly, it's fucking unbelievable. They just switched me off. They just switched me off. When I went as soon as I went public that I had that letter from Julian Assange, they switched me the fuck off. Hi everyone. You may have noticed today, well, it's been a bit of a news day today. There's been a budget in the UK. They found the magic money tree, everybody. Do you remember that magic money tree that they say Corbyn had? Well, it looks like they found a couple of them. 30 billion for coronavirus response. 30 billion. With statutory sick pay for all those who self-isolate. Stop at home, you get SSP. There's going to be a lot of people who's getting SSP, I would have thought, in the coming months. Business rates for small businesses cut. National insurance threshold increased up to 9,500. 600 billion announced for infrastructure spending. The tampon tax scrapped. I'll come to that in a minute. And alcohol and fuel tax frozen. Rishi Sunak there with his first Labour budget. Austerity was a con, everybody. It was a con. 10 years you've paid. 10 years you've paid. With your lives, some of you. Because the bankers imagined a load of money from thin air and got caught out. Paid themselves a load of bonuses. Got to keep them. Then made out like bandits ever since. They bought up all the properties that had lost their value. So they bought all the properties with their bonus. They've made a fortune ever since. Tripled their wealth, the top 200 people in the country. I saw Osborne the other day in an interview saying that austerity was required. It was necessary. It was necessary to kill 150,000 people. It was necessary. Because the bankers lost the money. Well, they didn't lose the money. They imagined it out of thin air, paid themselves a shitload of bonuses with it, and then when it all collapsed, none of them, not a single fucking one of them, had to pay a price. Apart from the guy who was at the head of RBS at the time, he lost his knighthood. Aww. They found the magic money tree, everybody. It's complete and utter bollocks. This shit is. Complete and utter bollocks. Whatever they give you with one hand, I know this from my experience. I'm 45 now. I'm 46 soon. Every budget in my life, they've said, oh, give it with one hand, isn't it fantastic? And then they've took it away with another and a little bit extra on top as well. So your lives have got incrementally shittier for the last, well, certainly since I've been paying attention. Certainly since I was old enough to know what a budget was. What's that, 30 years? 40 years? As you can probably tell, everybody, I'm not in a great mood today. I'm pissed off with just about everybody. Budget. Honestly, it's a con. We'll get to it in a minute. I may be pissed off today, but let's start with some good news, shall we? Fuck that up then. Let's start with some good news. Some good news today. From January next year, according to the Treasury, there will be no VAT whatsoever on women's sanitary products. Yes, sanitary products are classed as a luxury item in this country, or were. Therefore, there's value-added tax on it of 20%. As I said here, there shouldn't be any VAT on anything, period. By the way, for those of you who got that joke, that is comedy genius, that is. And look at this. Look at down the bottom there. 7 likes. 7 likes. That's comedy genius. My talents are wasted on my 5,000 Russian bots who follow me. Why is it nonsense, and why shouldn't there be any VAT on anything? Well, value-added tax was meant to be temporary. It was a purchase tax. It was basically to pay for World War II. After World War II, it was meant to be temporary. It turned into VAT when we joined the EEC, of which we've now left after Brexit. I can guarantee you the VAT is going to stop there. It's 20% flat rate on products, on most products, to be honest. 20% flat rate across the board. That means the people who pay the highest proportion of their wages in VAT, the highest proportion of their incomes in VAT, it's the poor. It's also an indirect tax because we don't pay it. The shop payers pay it on our behalf. They take the money off us and pay it on our behalf. So therefore, it's not really a tax. It's a fucking jack. It was meant to come in after World War II because it was to avoid waste during wartime. That's why it was meant to be temporary. And it's still around today. Started off at 10% when we joined the EEC, dropped to 8%, and it's been 20% since 2011. And like I say, the highest proportion of people's wages, the poor pay the highest proportion of their incomes on VAT. Now they say, oh, the rich pay more VAT, but it's the same problem, isn't it? Saying, oh, the rich pay more tax, why should they? Just have it on a sliding scale. Better yet, and I've got a brilliant idea, and this is why I wanted to do my this segment, because there is one sector in the United Kingdom that doesn't have any VAT applicable to it. Do you know what that is? It's pretty big as well. It's a pretty big sector. The financial services sector. No value-added tax on that. We pay VAT, apparently. The rule is, because it's for the privilege of operating a business within, selling something within or on the government's, within the government's territory. That's what they call it, something like that. But no VAT on financial services. They make lots of money. You know what? You could replace VAT totally, just scrap it totally, and replace it with a 1% VAT or tax on financial services. You know, these people who are just making this ridiculous derivatives market. Nobody knows how big it is, the derivatives market. Do you know what a derivative is? I can't even say it. Do you know what a derivative is? Nobody does. But apparently there's $104 quadrillion of them around the world. Basically, what I can tell is, within the financial services sector, there's a load of bookies who bet on whether stuff goes up or down, and they've created this huge market. Not like the financial crisis in 2008 at all. It's totally different. It's not a bubble. They're just making money off that out of thin air. There shouldn't be any VAT, period. My comedic genius is wasted on Twitter, I swear. Hi everyone, let's just jump into the chat and say hi to everybody who's here. There isn't many. Since I've been switched off, please like, please share the stream, please comment, please, do whatever you can to help. This is just ridiculous. It really is. I used to have more people watching me when I had like 1,000, 1,500 subscribers. It really is pathetic. I can't even get a video. It's rare that I have a video go over 1,000 views now. That's how bad it is. My average used to be about 5,000 or 6,000. That was an average. Good videos would go up to 100k. I don't get it. I haven't got it for months. Months. They switch me off. They switch me off. Labour Party. Ooh, we're for independent media. Haven't said a fucking word about the crushing censorship that independent media have been under these last few years. So as you may have seen, yeah, I've been switched off, so please like and share the stream. A GMAC stream on Wednesday. What sorcery is this, says Big Dad? A GMAC stream. Is that my rapper name, is it? GMAC. Liking the new intro setup, GD, says Liam Burbick. Thanks, man. Thanks. Thought I'd have a bit of a shake-up. Hi, Pat. Hey, from Chicago. Yeah, when I first tried to get on, it said your video was unavailable. There's shenanigans going on. It really is. There's shenanigans going on. I did an interview with Garland Nixon a couple of weeks ago, and I dropped a video of it last week. I dropped the videos in the last few days, and one of them was about the Skripals. And somebody on Twitter mentioned you can't search for that video on YouTube. You can search Skripals, Gordon, Dimmack, Garland. It doesn't come up. You have to go to my channel. You can only find it on my channel page. You can't search and find it. That's how bad it is. They've switched me off. Totally. Totally. A derivative is a financial product, a bet on assets, says Ray Smith. Yeah, it's a bunch of bookies are making these derivatives out of thin air. Out of thin air. Nobody knows how big the market is. I heard somebody say 104 quadrillion in one article. That's how big the global derivatives market is. Just a bunch of people betting on stuff. Just the money is just out of thin air. Can't imagine why people are worried about the financial system right now. Can't imagine it. They didn't fix the system 10 years ago. They didn't fix the system. They've just been slapping a band-aid on it for 10 years. And it's getting bigger and bigger, that band-aid is. Alright, I suppose I'll give you an update on the coronavirus, haven't I? Because, that's all anybody is talking about in the UK. This is the statistics from my friend Charlotte so far. This was of earlier on today. I'm not sure whether this has been. These are obviously going to be out of date now because it's 9 hours ago. But as of 9 a.m. this morning, 27,476 people have been tested in the UK. 27,020 negative, 98%. 456 people have been tested positive. And 8 people have died, sadly. That is the statistics. 8 people, 456 positive. That's the statistics. This is just down the road from me. It's within 2 miles of my flat. I'm going to go there tomorrow. I'm going to take my camera and go there and have a look. There's a coronavirus testing centre being set up. Literally within 2 miles of my flat from where the crow flies. This is the Express and Star. The new cases in the city were confirmed this afternoon. That's the Wolverhampton. There's more cases in Wolverhampton. And you can see here, coronavirus testing started at Wolverhampton's drive-through centre this morning, shortly before 2 more people were diagnosed in the city. They're saying don't go to hospital if you're sick. They're saying go to this temporary testing facility instead. People who sit in the city who display symptoms of COVID-19 and call NHS 111 are being told not to attend New Cross Hospital or their GP. New Cross Hospital is our local hospital in Wolverhampton. Instead, they will be directed to the car park test centre. I think you've got to book yourself in. I'm going to go there and have a poke around, see what I can find. Hopefully, I don't catch it while I'm out there. Like I say, it's all anybody can talk about. 98% so far of those who've been tested have been found negative. It's affecting sport, of course, but not this one. Olympiacos Wolves to go ahead as Greek test results confirm negative. All kicking off, you could say, couldn't you? This is my local paper, right? The Express and Star. This is my local paper. Look at it. You can see here, just on the right-hand side, the trending, most read. 2 more coronavirus cases confirmed in Wolverhampton. Chancellor Sunak turns on the spending taps in response to coronavirus. Cash boost in the West Midlands for the Chancellor's coronavirus budget. Coronavirus panic buyers stealing from trolleys at Black Country Cash and Carry. Walsall Primary School shuts for coronavirus deep clean. It is all anybody is talking about, especially in the media. And all the media are saying, right? The entire media are like that. Every media outlet, I mean, that's my local paper. You go to your local paper, whatever that is, whatever town, whatever city you're in, go to your local paper and you will see it's the same. Constant coronavirus. Top 10 most read coronavirus. Every one of them going, don't panic! Don't panic! Thousands of stories every day. Don't panic! What do they think people are going to do? If the media is yelling at them 24/7, don't panic, don't panic, don't panic, coronavirus, don't panic though, coronavirus, oh, it's killing loads of people, oh my God, it's a pandemic. Don't panic there. What are people going to do? They're going to panic. This is what happens when 86% of your media is owned by 4 fucking companies. Everybody is talking about this coronavirus. Let me remind you, so far, you find it. Let me remind you, 456 people, as of this morning, tested positive. Other countries, it's slowing down. Don't panic though! Don't panic! Everybody's talking about it. I'll go to tell you a story. I was in Leicester the weekend. I had to go and see a man about a dog. Well, I was going to do a joke then, but I was in Leicester the weekend. I had to go and see a man about a dog. And I hadn't had a burger in a while. I've been good. I've been eating chicken and vegetables, etc., instead of red meat. And we're out and, you know, thought it's fine. We'll go to Five Guys. So I went to Five Guys. Had one of their burgers. It was lovely as usual. They're good burgers, Five Guys are. Don't eat as much red meat as I used to. So it was a bit of a treat for me. But my fiancée went to the toilet. And she came out. And I'd seen somebody come out, a young girl on a phone, walk out the toilet a few minutes before. She came out the toilet. She says, Gordon, you'll never believe what I just heard. This woman was on her phone to her child as she got it and walked into the toilet. And she sat in the stall next to my fiance. And she was on the phone to her son, who was a young kid, 4 or 5, I suppose. And she said to him, what's the most important thing in the world? Do you know what he said? The coronavirus, mummy. I like 5-year-old, 6-year-old. Coronavirus. That's the most important thing in the world. That's not the sad part of this story. The sad part is what the mother corrected her son and said. She said, no. It's not the coronavirus. The coronavirus isn't the most important thing in the world. Money is. Don't panic! When you got people like that, if you tell them 24/7, don't panic, they're going to panic. The World Health Organization has now called it a pandemic. It's a global pandemic, according to the World Health Organization now. This is from the BBC. You may have seen, people bulk buying toilet paper. And the BBC put out, don't panic, coronavirus, don't panic buy, and then a picture of a giant a piece of toilet paper. Don't panic! There's empty shelves, apparently, in supermarkets up and down the country now. Because people are panicking. What did they expect? Don't panic! This basically sums up, I think, the United Kingdom's 2020 so far, this story. Our health minister, Nadine Dorries, has tested positive. There she is. Former I'm a Celebrity Get Me Out of Here contestant Nadine Dorries, our health minister, has tested positive for the coronavirus. That sentence is accurate. She's been diagnosed with the coronavirus. Miss Dorries said she's been self-isolating at home. Labour MP Rachel Maskers says she has been since told to do the same as she had met Miss Dorries. A lot of politicians are getting this virus, worryingly. A lot of politicians. There's an even scarier proposition. Our media have said out there saying, don't panic, which is causing everybody to panic. She tweeted this out, Nadine Dorries did. She's self-isolating. I wish her all the best, by the way. I hope she makes a full recovery. If you want to know how low a journalist can go, she says, Daily Mail UK on my doorstep in the middle of me trying to deal with everything else. He opened the gate, knocked on the door, rang the bell. I hope he washes his hands. They are honestly useless. Our media are. Absolutely useless. The health minister, or a minister for health in the UK getting the coronavirus. It sort of sums up our year, doesn't it, so far? It's like the transport minister being late for work because the trains weren't on time. Or the justice minister getting banged up in prison. Or the chief whip getting found in a brothel with an apple in his mouth and a gag and ball gag, etc. In a police raid. Or, Minister for Women and Equalities being Liz Truss. Bad example. Minister for Education being Gavin Williamson. Fuck. Sums up our year. So there you go. Every story in the media is about this coronavirus. Every single story you can think of is about the coronavirus, or the majority of them. All saying, don't panic! I know we're writing 95% of our stories about this coronavirus, but don't panic! Sky News, here's a scary graphic of an infestation behind me while I tell you, don't panic. Oh well. All this panic buying will help the economy, I suppose. What do I know? Oh yeah, this is the same media, by the way, who are going over the top about this. After 8 people have died, right? How many have we killed in our illegal proxy war in Yemen in the last couple of years? How many? Do you think the media made a big fucking deal about that? How many Iranians have we killed with sanctions following America? I know this for a fact. 40,000 Venezuelans were killed because of sanctions that America have put on them. Where were the media screaming about those fucking deaths? We helped cause them. This one, these 8, that's not our fault. This is a virus. But they're losing their shit over it. Yet we kill hundreds of thousands of people around the world and they don't say shit. It's in the news and out before they can fucking sneeze. Yet this is all they talk about. Chomsky was right. The uniformity of our media and the way we fall in line when the government want them to. Dictators, Putin must be looking at us thinking, fucking hell, I wish my media was as pliant as theirs. And that's what's going on over here at the moment. I hope you're all happier than me. I'm really pissed off today, as you can tell. I am really pissed off. Super chat from Rob Janelle. Thank you, Rob. I really appreciate that, mate. Your independent voice matters to me, man. Peace. Peace to you as well, man. Thank you very much. Really appreciate it. Can't do this without you. I can't. I can't. I've told you. They've switched me off. My ads. I got to be careful. They'll probably give me a fucking strike for this, but I really don't care anymore. My Google payment from the adverts from this channel next month is less than £40. Less than £40. Because they've switched me off so much. They've just fucking turned the dial. 0. Boom. There you go. Bye, Gordon. Yeah, you don't get any more subscribers. Nobody sees your work anymore that hasn't seen it before. And those who have seen it before, we're gonna hopefully make them forget you. This is what's happened. It could be worse, I suppose. It could be Bernie Sanders. Because yesterday was Super Tuesday too. Say Bernie Sanders. It's not. All right. Yeah, I'll rephrase that. The news over here in the UK is pretty bad at the moment, and I'm really annoyed today, as you've probably seen. I'm an angry man today. But it could be worse. I could be a Bernie Sanders supporter in America. Because it's not Bernie Sanders they're cheating over in America, it's their supporters. Super Tuesday 2 was yesterday, or what they're calling it, when a load of states voted on their Democratic primary. Where are we? March, aren't we? March the 11th, March the 10th. So this is the Super Tuesday 2. Biden won Idaho, Mississippi, Missouri, North Dakota, and Michigan. Biden won Michigan. Bernie Sanders trounced Hillary Clinton 4 years ago in Michigan. And Biden won in Michigan yesterday. Let me remind you who Joe Biden is, people in America who voted for him, if any of you watch this. Let me remind you who he is. This is yesterday, I think it was. Take a listen.
These union workers that have been working countless hours under the Trump administration.
So this is a voter who wants to speak to him about his record on guns. Listen.
I'd like you to explain how you plan to not only keep us working, but how you intend on getting the union vote when there is a large portion of the union workers that are gun enthusiasts, and you are actively trying to diminish our Second Amendment right and take away our guns.
You're full of shit.
You're full of shit. It gets worse.
All right, thank you.
No, shush.
Shush! That's one of his aides. Jumping to his defense. Shush! I'll carry on.
Shush.
Shush.
I support the Second Amendment. The Second Amendment, just like right now, if you yell fire, that's not free speech. And from the very beginning, I have a shotgun, I have a 20 gauge, a 12 gauge, my son's hunt. Guess what? You're not allowed to own any weapon. I'm not taking your gun away at all. You need 100 rounds.
So when you were with Beto, when you said you're going to take our guns,
I did not say that. That's not true. I did not say that.
It's a viral video.
It's a viral video like the other ones they're putting out that are simply a lie.
That, you know, recordings of him saying stuff in his own words.
Boys, you said that you're taking the guns.
Well, he just clarified it.
Wait. Take your AR-14s.
Okay, this is not okay.
Hold on.
All right.
Hey, let's
Don't tell me
to
anything, pal. I want to go outside.
There's a lot
with
of
you.
guys.
You're
Want
me,
it.
man.
I'm not worried.
Hey,
Hold on.
so much.
Give me a
Thank
break,
you so
man.
much.
Don't be such a
You're
horse
pushing up
guy.
on me.
Don't be such a horse's ass. Give me a break.
There's a lot of
Hey.
Speak to Joe.
Look, here's the deal.
Go.
Here's the deal. Are you able to own a machine gun?
Fly on a machine
I said, are you able to own one? I'm the law.
Machine guns are illegal.
That's right. So AR-15's illegal.
How is that a machine gun?
No, it's not.
Semi-automatic.
Yeah, do you need 100 rounds? Do you need 100 rounds?
In America from handguns than there are what you call assault rifles. Why are you advocating for assault rifles when people are dying by handguns?
No, come on.
That was yesterday. I think it was yesterday or the day before. I want to give you a reminder. This is who's winning the Democratic primary right now. This guy. Now, that was him a few years ago and it was making sense. Just listen. This is a compilation of his gaffes. It's really, really scary. Scary for the world. Not just America, for the world, that this man is the is the favourite to win the Democratic primary. I cannot understand. Well, I can. They're rigging it. It's simple as that. Listen.
We choose truth over facts.
He's saying that it was my boss. It was his fault.
I was a Democratic caucus. You ever been to a caucus? No, you haven't. You're a lying dog-faced pony soldier.
Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids. Friend, and she's a friend. She's been my friend in and out of public life. We hold these truths to be self-evident. All men and women created by you know the thing. Tomorrow's Superstar Tuesday. All right, Chuck. Thank you very much.
All right. It's Chris, but anyway.
My name's Joe Biden. I'm a Democratic candidate for the United States Senate. Look me over. If you'd like to see, help out. If not, vote for the other guy. I love this place. Look, what's not to like about Vermont? One of the things I'm proudest of is getting passed, getting moved, getting control of the Paris Climate Accord. I'm the guy that came back after meeting with Deng Xiaoping and making the case that I believe China would join if we put pressure on them. You had people like you had people like the former chairman and leader of the party in Germany. Go to Joe 30330. Watch what happened when those kids from Parkland came up to see me when I was vice president. They went under and some of you covered it. It's not that they don't want to help. They don't know quite what to do. Play the radio. Make sure the television, make sure you have the record player on at night. The phone. Make sure the kids hear words. And to get hot, I got hairy legs that turn blonde in the sun. And the kids used to come up and reach in the pool and rub my leg down so it was straight, and then watch the hair come back up again. They look at it. So I learned about roaches. I learned about kids jumping on my lap. And I've loved kids jumping on my lap.
They're not fake. That's Joe Biden. This man's in cognitive decline. He cannot be president of the United States. He can't. Can you imagine Joe Biden versus Donald Trump? Can you imagine what Donald Trump would do to him? That's just a little taster. It'll be that sort of stuff. By the way, whoever came up with that on Twitter, well done. I think Garland Nixon retweeted it out. That's why I saw it. He cannot. He can't be president. He won't be. He can never be president, and he will never be president, because there's no way he'll beat Trump. I mean, Trump he's already talking about it, look. Retweeting Joe Rogan. Clipping up Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan says what everybody's thinking, that nobody in the middle is willing to say because they hate Trump. Imagine someone sent him the other 1,000 clips, just as bad as this one from the last few weeks. I mean, this is just the one where he... It's the one slip up.
Be self-evident. All men and women created by go. You know the thing.
Stop. Pause. You can't be president.
It's already happening. It will be a mauling. The people who are propping Joe Biden up now, it said Joe Rogan, him as president, I wouldn't mind. But the people who are propping Joe Biden up now, they will go down as people who are being cruel to the elderly. This is elder abuse, what they're doing to him. If you think he has a chance of beating Trump, if you think that, I've got some weapons of mass destruction to sell you, but just listen to this. Already, Fox is sharpening the knives. Can you imagine if Joe Biden is the nominee and it's a run-up to election? This is Tucker Carlson on Fox, and already they're going after him. And everything he says in this is true. Everything.
Party coalesced with...
I know people don't like Tucker Carlson, but everything he says here is bang on.
The stunning speed around Joe Biden. You're watching the results tonight. It's not as if the establishment actually prefers Biden, who is frail and rapidly moving toward incapacitated. They just despise Bernie Sanders and were desperate to stop him. They'd pick anybody, and they did, and it worked. Sanders got crushed on Super Tuesday. A candidate who actually wanted to win would have paused the day after to reassess his campaign. For Sanders, this week was the time to tell the truth about what is happening, what we're all watching. The Democratic nominating system is rotten and corrupt. Biden himself clearly is not capable of governing this country. He's not even capable of holding a press conference. The whole process is shocking. It's a fraud, not to mention incredibly cynical and reckless. The establishment doesn't care who the president is. They just want to make certain it's someone they can control who won't raise their taxes. Sanders could have said all that, and he should have, because it's true. Instead, he defended Joe Biden. Watch.
And the question of Joe Biden's mental acuity is not something that just comes up anywhere. Democrats have brought this up, including Senator Cory Booker, who endorsed Joe Biden today.
I'm not going to go at that level in attacking. For Joe and I have, that's for people to decide. All I can say is Joe and I have very significant political differences. And I'm not going to be making, personal attacks on Joe. That's not what I do.
That's almost exactly word for word what Jeremy Corbyn was saying last year about, people like Tom Watson, etc. People who were trying to, decapitate his run for Prime Minister, which they did successfully. I'll play this on.
Okay. So according to Bernie Sanders, we're not allowed to talk about the one thing all of us can see clearly every day. The Democratic frontrunner is failing. He's not capable of taking the job he's running for. His staff is desperate to keep him from interacting with the public for more than 2 minutes. By the way, that's not a partisan talking point. It's true. It's an observation that everyone who pays attention has. And it's sad, really sad, more poignant than damning, sincerely. But Sanders won't say any of this. Shut up, he says. Any mention of Biden's rapidly declining communication skills is a, quote, personal attack. It's pretty obvious that Sanders doesn't want to win. He's a man who thinks it's more noble to fail than to succeed. You're watching a professional loser. Sanders is all but admitting that now. He's already promised to back Biden if Biden wins the nomination. He's even pledged not to contest the convention.
It's going to be sick if he's made nominee. It really is. It's going to be sick. And with regards to the DNC, what they're doing right now it's horrific. It's an insult to democracy. I mean, Democratic National Committee, they call themselves. They're democratic in the same way that the Democratic Republic of Congo is democratic. They're democratic the DNC is democratic in the same way as the Democratic People's Republic of North Korea is democratic. They're not democratic. Not by a long shot. If you want proof of it, look at what they've done with these debates. Look at how they've rigged it against Tulsi Gabbard. Look at how they've rigged it against, who, by the way, is still in the race, Tulsi Gabbard. There's 3 people left in. Tulsi is one of them. Let's not forget. Look how they've rigged it so Tulsi Gabbard didn't go on the debate stage, ever increasing the threshold. If she hit the threshold, increase it. Look how they've done that. She got 2 delegates on Super Tuesday. They immediately increased the threshold to 20% required to get on the debates. They cannot have an anti-war voice on that stage. They just can't. Why? Because the Democratic National Committee, the DNC, are warmongers. Look at their record. Look at how they basically just sold themselves like cheap fucking whores to Mike Bloomberg. Remember, Republican New York mayor. Republican. Bought his way into the Democratic National Committee debates. It's the equivalent of Alan Sugar buying his way into the Labour leadership debate now, halfway through. Just bought his way onto that stage. Bought his way onto it. Just gave him millions of dollars. Just bought his way onto it. And the DNC went, yeah, please. We love that money. We love that corporate cash. They'll change the debate rules to make sure Tulsi isn't on there. They'll change them in a different way to make sure Bloomberg is on there. Now we find out that they've changed the rules again so that Joe Biden won't have to stand up in the next debate. It's going to be a sit-down one like old times. Won't be a stand-up one now. It'll be a sit-down one. Because, Joe Biden. Can you imagine that debate? Imagine that debate. Imagine what it's going to be. A moderator will be like, so Mr. Biden, what's your stance on healthcare? Look fat. Look fat. Number one, the name's Biden Obama. Vice President Biden Obama. B, you want to go around? You want to do some push-ups? Number 4, when I was vice president to president, my boss, it's sad that this is happening. It really is. Because I can't imagine how anybody can vote for, not just vote for Joe Biden with a clear conscience, knowing that they're voting for somebody who's got dementia. I blame the media, of course, because their propaganda campaign over there looks like it's been cranked up to levels that we saw over here in 2019. Like I said in the video not long ago, what is happening to Bernie Sanders is almost a carbon copy of what happened to Jeremy Corbyn last year. And he's making the same mistakes again. He will not call this out. Keep saying, Joe's a friend of mine. I like Joe. If you don't call this out, Bernie, people are going to look at you and think you're weak. The same way as I, last year, sat here screaming at my TV saying, Jeremy Corbyn, you're weak. And this is why he's losing that. And of course, the fact that they're rigging it against him. The entire media and DNC. Fox News, the only place that's telling the truth about it. To the Bernie Sanders supporters over there in America, I know some of you watch this. Don't stop. Don't lose hope. Push him even harder. Push even harder. What we're seeing right now is out in the open, the DNC rigging it. We've seen them out in the open doing it. Nobody can look at this and say it's a fair election. Not a single person. Even Jake Tapper was questioning it the other day. Not a single person, certainly not a single honest person, can say that this is a fair election. Keep pushing. Make them show how fucking ugly they are. Make them show all of the DNC's ugliness. Make them show just how rigged it is. Make them show just how undemocratic the Democratic National Committee is. Because the worse things get and the more desperate they get as they are, you're seeing it in all its glory now. They're pushing out somebody suffering. He's suffering from dementia. He's in serious cognitive decline. But they would rather push him out, knowing full well that he will lose to Trump, than win with Bernie Sanders. And what I've seen is they know right now they're like, right, okay, he's got it sewn up. They think he's got it sewn up. They're all saying, oh, Bernie should drop out. If the roles were reversed, by the way, and Bernie was winning, they wouldn't be saying Biden should drop out. They wouldn't be saying that at all. They wouldn't be saying it's over. But the longer it's gone, the longer it goes on, the more they're showing their ugliness. Keep pushing. Because hopefully it'll wake enough people up to what the DNC and politics has become, not just in America, but over here as well. I've seen it. Forget the politicians. Forget them. But keep highlighting just how ridiculous the system is and how rigged it is. Because hopefully enough people will wake up. They'll wake up to the fact that these motherfuckers are going to take all of your rights away and all of your money away and all of your futures and your children's futures. Because they want more. More war. More money. More power. It's like the end of Terminator 2. You know, when Arnie comes up on that machine, says hasta la vista baby, and fires that exploding shell, and it goes into the T-1000, explodes in him, and then he falls off into the vat of molten iron. And you can see all these faces. All the faces, all the people that he's done the horrible things, horrible deeds to. That's what we're saying right now. Not just with the DNC, with other things around the world. It's almost like, you know, almost like capitalism's the thing that's dying right now. And we're seeing it more and more. And hopefully, if the Bernie supporters can push Bernie into doing the right thing, hopefully we're going to see more and more people wake up to the fact that this democracy thing that they say we've got, we haven't. Not from what I can see anyway. Oh, and by the way, to those people who were saying if Biden wins the nomination, then Bernie supporters must vote for Biden because Trump. Those blue no matter who people. If you honestly are telling people that you have to vote for somebody suffering from dementia to stop Donald Trump, then you have lost all sense of reality. You really have. And you should quit your fucking jobs. I'm not talking about David Pakman at all, honest. Take Earl in the super chat. Thank you, man. Bernie lacks courage. It is sad because he is a good man at heart, says Take Earl. Yeah, I agree. He's a good man, you know. Jeremy Corbyn's a good man as well. But if you're trying to shepherd people into a party that your whole life you've said that isn't the answer, and then you're shepherding them into that party, then you're doing the same thing as Corbyn did last year, because Corbyn stood up for Palestinian rights his whole career, and then they've hit him with this smear, and rather than putting Palestinian rights front and centre, he tries to make a more broad point about racism and just loses everybody. At that point, you know they're trying to placate both sides, and you can't do that, because sooner or later your base support, the people who support you no matter what, your base support are just going to turn around and go, you're weak, like we did with Corbyn last year, and it's happening with Bernie now. If he doesn't come out and start going after Biden, after his cognitive decline, after his record, if he doesn't start taking the gloves off, it's over, and Biden's going to be the nominee, and he cannot be president. He will not be president. There's no way he will. Trump will chew him up and eat him for breakfast. Here's a guy, talking about blue no matter who people. Here's a guy who well, he talks a lot of sense in this video anyway. Anders Lee of Redacted Tonight said, I thought the Biden 2020 Facebook group I'm in would be jubilant tonight, but they're actually freaking out that young people won't show up for Joe Biden in November. So the Facebook group are saying, oh, all these Bernie people that we've been screaming at and yelling and, you know, saying they're toxic and what have you, they're not going to vote for Joe. We need them. They're freaking out. Christopher Jackson. This guy said they've done and got to make a big mistake if they give Joe the nomination. We're not fucking stupid. If Biden was the nomination, they will reap what they have sowed. This is Lawrence O'Donnell. I'm assuming by the hair. This is quite some time ago. But listen to what he says here. It's absolutely spot on.
If you want to pull the party, the major party that is closest to the way you're thinking, to what you're thinking, you must show them that you're capable of not voting for them. If you don't show them you're capable of not voting for them, they don't have to listen to you. I promise you that. I worked within the Democratic Party. I didn't listen or have to listen to anything on the left while I was working in the Democratic Party because the left had nowhere to go.
And that's why they're going to lose, and that's why the Tea Party, they changed. They got their way because the Tea Party with the Republicans, when Obama came in, the Tea Party said, no, you're either going to do what we want or we are not going to vote for you. And they had to move. With the DNC, it looks like they're okay with that. No. Looks like it to me. It looks like they're okay with the fact that people just won't vote for them if Joe Biden is the nominee. As long as it's not Bernie. As long as it's not somebody who's going to give you health care. He's going to get trounced. He won't even go. Honestly, they'll just call the election off if it's Biden versus Trump. They'll just say, nah. What's the point? It's the biggest blowout in history. I want to stop on America because I saw a video earlier that I want to show you. And it's you might have heard me talk about this guy before. Elliot Abrams. This is the guy that was trying to get aid into Venezuela. Part of the Trump administration. This is the guy who was found guilty in the Iran-Contra and then pardoned. Trying to get aid in Venezuela in the guise of obviously weapons and stuff. He got grilled over it by some supporters. Take a listen.
You know that these sanctions are killing people. The Trump administration has sabotaged dialogue in Venezuela.
What do you think, sir? Any thoughts on what's happening?
How dare you?
Any comment on this?
How dare you?
Any comment on the 40,000 Venezuelans that have been killed by the sanctions that you are pushing down their throat?
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Who is he accountable to? Who are you accountable to if you're not accountable to the public, Mr. Abrams? Who are you accountable to? Mr. Abrams, what do you have to say for yourself? What do you have to say for yourself, Mr. Abrams? Any comment on the Venezuelans who are outraged? Any comment on the Venezuelans who are clearly outraged by what you're doing to their country? Any comment, Mr. Abrams? No comment, I suppose.
More of this, please. More of this. More of people of the public getting in politicians' faces, shall we? Because let's face it, none of them think they're accountable to you. They work for us, you know, these politicians. I know people like Elliot Abrams doesn't realise that, but it's the same over here. The politicians actually are answerable to us. As you can see there, Elliot Abrams now. I'm not answerable to you. Yes, I know the sanctions have killed 40,000 Venezuelans, but hey, we can do what we want with the mafia. And we're not answerable to you. I'd really like to see every time he's in public for that to happen. Would be a real shame, wouldn't it? I need to get to something that I'm really that isn't said enough. I want to talk about something that isn't talked about enough, if you ask me, because I think it's tomorrow is a year's anniversary of Chelsea Manning being jailed again. This time for not testifying against her publisher, Julian Assange, and WikiLeaks. She's been fined $1,000 a day right now. Currently over $250,000. $250,000 in fines. Because she is refusing to testify against her publisher. A year. Remember, she spent, I think, 6 years in prison, being tortured because she released all the documents that included the collateral murder video. And now she's been in jail, not for any crime. She's not in jail in maximum security. She's not in max security for a crime. No. It's punishment because she won't testify against her publisher. It's punishment. She hasn't committed a crime. It's punishment. It's saying you will go to jail until you testify against a publisher who published factual information. And she's saying no. That woman right there is a fucking hero. If the LGBTQ community had their wits about them, Chelsea Manning would be their poster child. She isn't just a credit to the LGBTQ community, she's a credit to humanity. And I wanted to give you a little story now that you might have heard if you've watched me before, but hey, I'll give you a little story of what I witnessed last year. One of my friends, Charlotte, she and Emmy Butlin and a couple of others, they mentioned to me that they were doing they were giving out flyers, etc., in Trafalgar Square in London last year to raise awareness for Chelsea Manning, to talk to people about Chelsea Manning. And I was down there in London and I said, I'll pop over and I'll see you. So we got on the tube, me and the fiancé did, and we were on our way to see this. And when we got on the tube, we realised we were surrounded by people in all sorts of colours, from the LGBTQ community. And we suddenly realised, oh, it's Gay Pride today. Okay, it's Gay Pride. I was like, I'm really looking forward to this. You've seen my channel. I champion LGBTQ rights when it's sensible. And my fiancé said, don't get your hopes up. I said, why? She said, well, when it was at Finsbury Park, my fiancé lives in London, she used to go every year. It was in Finsbury Park, but they changed it when it got popular and moved it to the centre of London and shut down the roads, and it's a big thing now, a big corporate gangbang, she said. So don't get your hopes up. It's not as good as it was. It used to be all about the movement, but now it's not, she said. So anyway, we got there and it was packed. And there were all these people walking around in, all different colours, dressed the way they want to dress. It was quite liberating, to be honest. And there's a lot of drunk people there as we were fighting our way through the crowd, trying to get down to Trafalgar Square to see Charlotte and Emmy and the rest of them. And as we got closer to Trafalgar Square, got off the tube, I saw this woman walking past us like that, streaming tears, shouting, angry like you wouldn't believe. Her makeup was wonderful. She'd got all these glittery stuff on and what have you. And I saw her walking past, and then there was a guy giving out hats, paper hats in LGBTQ colours. So we took one of these paper hats as we watched this woman walking away. I thought, what's happened to her? And then we noticed that the reason she was crying and angry was because some guy who was an official, I suppose, for the LGBTQ Gay Pride event in London was confiscating all her stuff from a stall. She was a stall who was painting people's faces in glitter and what have you. It was fantastic. I think she was charging something like £3 or £4 a face. There were loads of people painted like it. She did a great job. But because she wasn't accredited, they confiscated all her stuff. They said, you can't sell here. We're going to confiscate all your stuff. Everybody walked past. Everybody just walked past. She was screaming. And me and the fiancé were like, look at that. It's just, there's nothing we could do, obviously. We walked another 20 yards. And then we saw this tall black man. He was from Africa, African descent, because of his accent, we could tell. And he was crying. He was apoplectic. He was surrounded by police officers, and he'd got his stall there as well. And they were confiscating his stuff. He was selling scarves in LGBTQ colours and hats, in the rainbow colours. and they were confiscating his stuff. And he was screaming. He was saying, "You're taking my food off my children's out of my children's mouth. You're taking food off my table. What am I going to do? Well, how am I going to leave?" He was screaming, and the police were just standing there like that, in between him and his store, while the guys were all taking his stuff away. He was crying, he was apoplectic, he was like, I'll go anywhere, just don't take my stuff. But no, they confiscated his stuff. My fiancée was devastated. And everybody was just walking past, everybody just walked past, they didn't pay any attention at all. None. We walked about 10, 20 yards, and my fiancée trod in some sick. There's a lot of drunk people that day. And it was really quite sad. And after a few more minutes, she started crying. My fiancée did. She was crying at what it had become. And I took this paper hat, these in rainbow colours, and to try to cheer her up, I said, "Never mind, darling." I put it on her head. And she looked at me and said, "How do you look?" And I said, "Take that fucking shit off." And I took it off. And I took a photo of it. When I drop this video, I'll put it there. It was a free paper hat that they'd given us in LGBTQ colours, with a big fucking Burger King logo stamped on it. And my girlfriend looked at it, and she looked at me, and she said, I'll never forget, she said, "Look at how many people there are here. Look at how many people there are here. They could have demanded anything. And what have they got? What did they settle for?" I said, "A free paper hat with a Burger King logo on it." I never got to Trafalgar Square. It was packed that day on Gay Pride, and I don't do well in crowds because of my past PTSD. I don't do good when it's really packed and really in crowds. So we called it a bust and we left. But I caught up with Charlotte after that, and I caught up with the guys, and a few people, they were out there leafleting in Trafalgar Square. And by the way, they were charging actually to get into Trafalgar Square. I noticed some people were. There was a big queue to get in there. But Charlotte said to me, she says, there were a few, and we got talking. Some people, we raised awareness with some people, but most people didn't want to fucking know. They'd got flags there in LGBTQ colours with Chelsea Manning's face on. They were trying to say this person's, locked up because they didn't want to know. They could have demanded anything. There was over 1 million people there. They could have demanded anything. And what did they settle for? A free paper hat with a Burger King logo on it. If you're in the LGBTQ community, I'll fight for your rights. I will. Within reason, of course. But please, for the love of Christ, if you want us to fight for you, fight for her. She's not just a great person to champion if you're in the LGBTQ community. She's a great person to champion if you're in the fucking human race. Like I say, I'm pissed off today, and people really need to fucking figure out what their priorities are. Because if they don't, pretty soon, they'll all be complaining because all of their fucking rights will have been taken away. I will not shed a fucking tear for them. Not one single tear. When that happens. Because I've been screaming it for years. And all they've done is just turn me off. Ended that a bit shit. I think I'll cut that a lot shorter. I'll cut that short. I didn't end that the way I wanted to. Carlo Cousins in the super chat. Thank you very much. Love your content, Gordon. None of these lefty politicians have any teeth nowadays. We're just too nice. Yeah, the only politician that impressed me in the last year is Chris Williamson, and look what they did to him. Just look what they did to him. The only politician in this country that's impressed me is Chris Williamson. Look what they did to him. You know, the only politician in America really that's impressed me is Tulsi Gabbard, and look what they're doing to her. What does that tell you? They're not working for you, that's what it is. Certainly not working in your best interests. Fans of this channel will know that I've been saying for years that Russiagate was bunk and Russiagate was a load of bollocks, and the mere notion that Vladimir Putin had installed Donald Trump as president was an absolute... It was just a big lie. Well, it turns out I was right. FBI's Russia collusion case fell apart in the first month of Trump's presidency, memos show. I've got to check on this. This will be a video I'm going to be doing over the next couple of days, but I just wanted to touch on it in this live stream because, as you can see here, in a rapid-fire sequence in 2017, US officials, quote, received multiple warnings about the credibility of informant Christopher Steele and his dossier, affirmed key targets of the FBI counterintelligence investigation, made exculpatory statements denying collusion to undercover sources, and concluded retired General Mike Flynn, Trump's first national security advisor, was not engaged with collusion with the Russians, just as I've been saying. It wasn't collusion with the Russians at all. And there's all leaked memos. I've got to look up that over the next 24 hours. I'm going to do a video on it. It's really interesting. It's all going to come out, this is. It's all going to come out about this Russiagate stuff. And a lot of journalists, so-called journalists, are going to end up with a massive eggs on their faces. A huge amount on their faces. And I'm going to rub their fucking noses in it. I really am. I will never, ever let them forget how wrong they were and how they have propped this up for years. Ever. I also want to touch on this as well. You know, I've been saying they're rigging it over in the DNC. They've been saying they're rigging the primaries in the DNC. This is Greg Palast, California primary from the California Secretary of State, Mr. Biden Alex Padilla, admits that as of March the 10th, so that was yesterday, there are still a mind-blowing 2.3 million unprocessed ballots from the March 3rd California presidential primary. That was on Super Tuesday last week. Says here, most of those would be provisionals and NPP votes, the key Sanders group. Those results won't be reported for another 23 days. So another 23 days for them to figure out a way to screw Bernie. Keep the pressure up, Sanders supporters. Don't give up. You know, even if it looks like you won't win, just keep the pressure up, because the more you pressure them, the more they're showing their ugly side, and the more they're showing just how undemocratic they are. And hopefully we'll get to a situation over there where that just dies off. Because I think the Labour Party over here is going to die off. It certainly has. I mean, look at them now, falling over themselves to say, oh, anti-Semitism is what we're going to fight if we become leader. It'll be the same over in America. I won't shed a tear for them. And about you. Keep fighting, though, guys. Keep fighting. Don't give up. Keep fighting right till the very end, right till the point where, yeah, okay, you've lost. And hopefully you'll have shown enough people that it's all rigged. and eventually they might get up and make a stand. Thanks very much for watching, everybody. I think that's it for me tonight. I will be back maybe tomorrow. Yeah, might do one tomorrow, another live stream tomorrow and something. Yeah, maybe tomorrow or Friday. I don't know. I've got an interview on Saturday with somebody really cool though, which I'm sure you're going to like. And those videos will be dropping over the coming 10 days, I suppose. And also, I'll be setting up other interviews for me to do as well. I'm going to get back into them now. I'm straight back home. Thanks very much for all your support. Like I say, I've been switched off. I don't get any money from YouTube, or very little. So everything I'm doing is basically funded by you. I really appreciate it. Support independent media, even if it's $1 a month. I think 60% of my income comes from people who send me less than $5 a month. So every bit helps, and I can't do it without your support. I really appreciate it. Love you all. Take care, everybody. I'll see you. I think I'll be back tomorrow. Love you all. Take care.